about home. They're married to real estate.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast for people who love real estate and want to become inspired and informed. Whether you are a newbie real estate agent looking to get tips, learn a thing or two, or maybe you're a savvy property owner who wants to get a jump on the market, this is the place for you. We discuss our passion for real estate and people, and we bring together our personal experiences as well as our guests to learn from each other. You'll hear from experts in sales coaching, real estate law, mortgage lending, investing, and many local business owners on how to grow your business or your investment in real estate. I'm Mary McCauley.
I'm Mary Forster.
And we are Married to Real Estate. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Married to Real Estate. I'm here with Mary Forster. This is Mary McCauley and our guest, Claire Ryan. But before we get to her, Mary, what's going on?
Oh, well, as I started to say a little bit ago, it is life is busy. I feel like there's some kind of, energy system or vector that's swirling around. So in terms of business, I have a referral that is closing at the end of this month to a wonderful guy, the groomers of my dog.
Oh,
and I connected them with a member of our Keller Williams office, and he sold them the most amazing house. So it's closing, and that's a lot of fun for everybody. Let's see what else. Rotary is running away with all kinds of energy and fun. I'm the incoming president as of July 1st.
Ooh,
of
TikTok.
Rotary, TikTok, and it's so much fun. And then I had the pleasure of doing a little training session at our office on how to build business by referral. And it was a lot of fun. Ruth Berube, Paige, a guy by the name of Chris, who was just fascinating, and new agent, and it brings me back to the beginning of doing real estate.
Well, I'm sorry I missed that. There was a competing near event, our Northeast Association of Realtors, but I know that it's an important skill, being able to find referrals, find the right referral partner, and that's what your business is, and you're really, really good at it.
It's fun.
Yes.
Fun. How about you, Mare?
Yeah.
What's happening?
I had a closing last week. I have another one coming up in a month. I have a buyer who... She's going to be homeless July 14th if we don't find her something. So I'm actively helping her find that, which I think we will.
Good.
So I'm not too worried about that. Just kind of a hike. She's looking out in Holliston and Hopkinton, and so it's a little bit of a hike, but it's good.
Nice area.
Yeah, it's
Very
beautiful.
nice
Her daughter
area.
lives out there, so that's good. And I was home in the Chicago area visiting my family. My mother turned 85 last weekend, so that was good. And my baby went back to school to work in a lab there for the summer. She'll be back again, but I liked having her home. So.
Super. And you've been busy, I know, because I
Yes.
saw you at the CAT business meeting. Annual business meeting.
Yeah, we had our annual business meeting. I had to leave our annual summer party for Keller Williams, which I love. I had to leave that early, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's next year, right, Claire?
You bet. We've already got the date.
All right. Oh, good. Okay. She's on it.
Good. Let's meet Claire.
Yeah, so welcome, Claire Ryan.
Thank you.
Claire's our broker-owner of the Keller Williams Realty Merrimack Valley here in Westford. So, Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have been a broker for more years than I care to admit.
Define what a broker is for our audience. Some of our audience isn't real estate based, but
All the licensees in the office work under my license. So you're basically the responsible party for everything that happens with roughly 190-ish agents.
Right, the buck stops with you.
The buck
So we're
stops,
technically salespeople under your broker license.
Salespeople or associate brokers, one or the other.
yeah.
Okay.
What a lot of responsibility that is.
It is. But I like everybody, and I think everybody works really hard. I think that's one of the things that people don't know about realtors is how hard they work. This is not easy.
Yeah.
Right.
I just have the greatest respect for a broker. I really do. Just judging from the work that I did, most of my career was in Northern Virginia, and it was very litigious. I mean, people were just suing at the drop of a hat. And the broker, she just had, what's the word? Equanimity. How do you like that?
That's a mouthful.
That's a $10 word.
Balance, evenness, knowledge.
You have to.
And everything I hear about you is the same thing.
Oh, it is. I've called Claire many a times in a panic. There's been tears, there's been laughter, there's been, anger at my, situation. And Claire has always been level-headed, even-keeled, giving me good words of advice, truly.
Well, it's a hard job. It really is. I sold real estate on average of 10 to 15 million a year when I was selling alone without a team.
Wow.
So it was just me
Back then.
back then.
Wow.
When 10 to 15 million was a lot of homes.
A lot of homes. Yeah, your average price range was in the twos.
Wow.
So it was a lot.
Big
So
producer.
It kept me well occupied and raising my daughter at the same time. So it was a busy time.
How did you get into real estate?
I get into real estate. I was actually working for a hospital, since I'm not sure what you can say and not say, but I worked for Leahy Clinic in Burlington in their hematology-oncology department for quite a few years.
Oh.
And then my daughter got very sick and I couldn't work. And I had to figure out a way to raise her. I knew she would need college for sure because she wasn't physically capable of any type of physical job. She would need something. She would definitely need a college education. And a friend of mine owned a real estate office, and I went to work for her as basically the front desk, cutting checks.
Administrative.
Philo's job.
Oh,
Philo.
wow.
some
Okay.
degree.
Yeah.
Yes,
Philo
right.
in our office is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, she's absolutely unbelievable. She's tremendous. So basically a smaller version of Philo's job. And I'm like, I'm writing very big checks to these people. There is just not a chance I'm going to sit behind this desk.
Good for you.
I feel that. That was a motivator for me as well.
It was.
Yeah.
It is. When you're, taking care of a family and raising a family, you do what you need to do. So I went and got my real estate license. I went to work for Century 21 Landmark when they were in Chelmsford.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And that's where I started.
And then what made you decide one day, I want to own a brokerage?
I'm not even sure it crossed my mind. I went from Century 21 to Coldwell Banker, and from Coldwell Banker to Keller Williams. And then I ended up as an interim, what they call an operating principal, up in Nashua.
Okay.
And the owner of the region said to me, why don't you... He really encouraged me to take an ownership position in the company. And I had never never crossed my mind. And he pushed me in that direction.
Best decision ever?
Best decision ever. Yeah, really and
I
truly,
think
best
so.
decision ever.
Just grew your world, huh?
It did.
Grew your world.
Absolutely
Yeah.
grew the world, changed the world.
Especially since you were with a company that was just expanding unbelievably.
Yep,
And changing the real estate world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think if it had been another opportunity at a different brokerage? I mean, Keller Williams, we have our own culture, our own vibe. We're
It's different.
very unique. Do you
It's-
think that would have made a difference?
I don't think so. So because there was a lot of opportunity for a couple of other brokerages, and I wasn't interested at all. Keller Williams really caught my attention because of their training, their coaching, the ability to grow. Whatever you want to be, whatever it is within the company, from local, regional, international, whatever it is, to me it's our job to help you get there.
Yeah, I love that about
And
our
that's
office,
different.
our culture. I think our office is unique within the culture of Keller Williams, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people there. That's certainly why I'm there, why I love it. Plan never to leave. So,
There was kind of a neat experience in Northern Virginia. It was pretty intense, high-end area outside of D.C., and Weikert that's where I was at the time, and it was very established from New Jersey. It wasn't a franchise. But a number of our agents were going over to this new Keller Williams office. And it was like going over to the enemy, right? But to me, it wasn't so much the enemy. It was I had such loyalty to my broker.
Yeah.
And so I might have made the jump over there. Amina Basic is the owner over there now, and she's just ruling the world in Northern Virginia for Keller Williams. And, I might have gotten there eventually, but I have to say that broker just kept me in my seats, in just the most amazing way. I didn't care if it was going to be more money or anything. It was that relationship was so important, and I'm glad I had it. But I'm also glad I got to go to Keller Williams as well, seeing you a couple of years ago in the winter somewhere in the office. So
It was cold.
it was cold.
It was cold.
Yes. It was cold. So what is the funnest thing that ever happened to you in real estate? I mean, funniest or fun? Because we can hang on to all the serious...
outrageous or
outrageous. Any good story like...
Oh, I always have stories. Mary knows my stories.
That's right.
anything we can say?
Well, let me see.
Funniest stories. I don't know. Offhand. From selling, I remember selling, and one of the crazy things we all do is we're talking to the people behind us usually, and you turn around and walk backwards because you're trying to talk to your people who are
You're showing the home to.
You're showing the home to.
Right.
Doing things like falling into dog bowls and flower pots and, sunken living rooms over.
Oh, yeah, sunken living rooms.
Those things are killer.
Sounds injurious.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, or showing a house that wasn't really for sale and not having a clue. The sellers let us in and everything. I mean, it's just, we knocked on the door. It was dark out.
Right.
It looked right. Wasn't right.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't call the police and let you
they
take a
let
look
us
around.
in. I'm like, why would they ever let us
I
in?
don't know. You have a nice friendly face,
Well, if we ever decide to sell the house, we'll call you. I'm like, well, there's a listing opportunity in all of this.
There you go. That's what makes you good, Claire.
So it was funny. So it's a funny business.
It is.
It is.
It is. What's your what advice do you give out the most to, say, new agents or someone thinking about real estate as a career?
Training, more training. Go to all the training you can get, because in this day and age, you cannot do this without the education behind you. There's too much. You're in charge of someone's very likely the most expensive transaction they will ever make in their life, and they depend on you to know what you're doing. So you need to know. You need to understand the financials of all of it, and you need to take care of these people and make sure you are well trained. And I think that's what we do best.
Yeah, I
Do you
agree.
think we prepare people who say, "Oh, I love houses. I really want to sell houses"?
HGTV
Sure.
is my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be just like that, right?
We all get in for different reasons, but they won't last long if they just think this is selling pretty houses, because that's the least of what they do.
Right. So what do you think the most is? Is it being a small business owner, entrepreneur? What do you think?
I think negotiating is probably top on the list, because you need to negotiate these transactions and make sure that everything is signed, sealed, dotted, all the T's are crossed before you get to own a business. So yeah.
That's good. That's good advice.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's true. I think one of my first interactions with you was when you taught forms class, and we had to go through buyer forms and why we do what we do and I think it was probably the first time I ever read it word for word. No, I was a new agent, so it wasn't like I was operating without knowing anything about the contracts, but it was definitely hammered home to read every word and know what it means. And I think, I've been part of the productivity coaching program, and that's one of the things, read these, understand, be able to explain it across the table to your client and make sure that you understand it. And I think that's so important as a foundation.
It absolutely is. You really want to be able to explain them. Not the legal part of it. The legal part of it is, okay, what does this mean legally? Your next line is, let's get you an attorney.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
We don't do legal.
No.
We're realtors or brokers or whatever, but making sure your people are definitely protected means knowing those forms, explaining to some, extent what's in them, and if they're looking for the legal ramifications, get them legal help.
Yep, I agree. I do that with either I stay in my lane. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a lender.
Or accountant or anything.
Or any of those, right?
Home
Financial
inspector.
advisor, home inspector, mold specialist, none of that.
But if you're looking at, a water line on the wall, clearly there's water.
Yeah.
And that's not
Stepping
being a
out.
home inspector. That's
Right.
just,
Common sense.
common sense.
Home ownership and
Right.
experience.
And knowing
Yeah.
the difference between gas heat and electric heat and around here oil heat, so things like that. There's some of the
Which is what I have.
oil heat.
Great.
Yes.
Yes. Amazing. Some of the some of the expectations. I think for me it's a lot about expectations. What do the clients expect of their agent? What does the agent expect of their clients? And to me, it's like it's a constant back and forth and back and forth. It's the education. This is what I can do for you. A friend of mine is buying a condo in Northern Virginia. She's saying to me, Mary, I've got to find a mover who will help pack me up and move me. And I said, have you talked to your agent about that yet? My agent will help me? It's
Right.
kind of,
We are a go-to resource.
duh.
We should be.
We should be.
Right.
We should be. And what scares me the most is when you see a for sale by owner sign out there, and people are thinking, I'm gonna blow off the brokerage fees. I'm gonna save it, and they have no idea what they're doing.
No, much harder than people think it is.
It is. Who's going to negotiate for you? Who's going to navigate the paperwork? Who's going to, make sure you're protected?
I'll make just a few phone calls to my realtor friends and find out, And it's like,
true.
whoa, that is dangerous. That is very, very dangerous.
And I think that the statistic is 30% more with an agent than without, or something. There's a percent
good
is a
number.
better price.
Yeah, good
you get a
number.
better price overall. So
Yeah.
really, you end up making more money
Yeah.
by using an agent and paying them.
So is the market as slow as people are saying right now?
Inventory is an issue.
Still, and will
So
be.
Oh,
low.
yeah.
So low.
Well, a lot of people don't want to give up these 2% mortgages.
Right.
Is that what the major factor is right now?
Absolutely.
It's definitely one of them. I agree, 100%. But then there are those that, what are the 5 Ds? Divorce, diapers, diamond, death, and
one more.
downsizing.
I like the diamonds one. That's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, well, right? But there are reasons people have to move.
Yes.
People will always have to move,
Yeah.
but inventory is definitely lower than it has been in the past. And I think a lot of it is people do not want to give that up. And I can't say I blame them.
Right. That house at that payment, at that rate.
Can you duplicate it? So a lot of people are staying put.
And you see, I saw a sign up go out on Acton Road the other day, and I thought, whoa, a real estate sign. I hadn't seen one in a while.
Now, come on. It's not that bad.
Well, I see you over on Depot or Main Street.
That's
Yes.
we closed on that
We
one.
closed on that one.
So
That's a good
my
one,
face
yeah.
is gone from there, but yeah.
Yeah, they close fast. And the thing is, we're still seeing multiple offers. They're still getting well
are.
above.
I got 75 over on my last closing.
Yep.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's pricing. You've got to know the market. We had 74 groups of people through the open houses.
Was this
first
the one
weekend.
on Depot?
On Depot.
Yeah. Linda Sullivan was telling me she sold mobile or some kind of modular construction. They came in at 26 over, way out in Gardner or someplace like that.
Yeah.
And
That's very
So
normal for
buyers
right
are
now.
there,
Yeah.
and that's what I tell my sellers. Buyers are there, even with these interest rates. They have those other reasons why they need to buy a house.
right.
And if they have enough equity in their house, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Still a lot of cash floating around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of cash. Huh?
Yeah.
A lot of cash.
Yeah, and you mentioned that about the interest rates. Like I have a seller that she owns her house outright, so she's a cash buyer, and so the interest rate's not going to matter. She wants to be close to her grandkids.
And that gives her the leg up over everybody else who wants their first home or move out of their starter home or, that's a challenge. So long term, we're seeing this as a long term issue, right? Inventory.
I think
Well, there's
so.
been a lag, right? Wasn't there discussion? Gary Keller had at one of our major events about that it's like a 20-year lag in new construction. There's not enough housing. So,
That's very true.
if we had money to invest or, anything like that, trying to change over some of the commercial properties into residential would be an interesting proposition.
I think that has to happen. I really do. I think people need to start looking outside the box because, first of all, we need an awful lot of housing, first-time home buyer housing. We need people who need assistance with housing. We have empty malls. We have empty buildings. I think people need to start rethinking the space we have.
Yeah.
Look at that huge building over by Kimball's. Is it Lockheed or IBM or somebody?
Well,
over
IBM was bought. That was
was it bought?
Yep. Sal Lipoli, who owns Sal's Pizza, he bought that a year or so ago, and they've approved the plans in Littleton for mixed use. So it's going to
Mixed
be
use.
offices, shopping, apartments. Just got to
And
get
that's the
going.
way to
Let's
do
get
it.
going.
It's kind of fun to see mixed use come back, isn't it? In
Yeah,
a sense
it
of the
is.
little town centers, and
that'd be nice.
Yes, wouldn't that be
Right,
fun?
a little hub
Yeah.
right there of activity, and it's a big campus. It's a big area
It's
there.
ginormous over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. So
Yeah.
they take the building down or they reuse it?
I don't know.
It's enormous
the scope
space,
of that.
yeah.
They probably have to do some of
Take it down, yeah,
I would
yeah.
think it's very officey.
Yeah, very officey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of fun. So what does it feel like to be a business owner in Westford? I mean, it is...
Well, I love Westford. Westford was always my first choice.
Yeah.
It really was. This was in the plan from the minute the ownership opportunity started, was to
Yeah.
open in Westford.
Smart.
Nashua was a secondary, and I didn't end up buying Nashua. That changed, so that was fine. Life takes rights and lefts, and sooner or later you land where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I
And
believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. And Westford is where we're supposed to be. I love Westford. It's a great town.
So you've been an owner here since 2005.
We actually, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think we actually opened the actual doors in Westford in 06 because I was in an office actually about this size.
What would you say this is? 15 by 15?
Yeah.
About right.
15 box.
Generous.
And I think we were 12 agents.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. We were in about this much. We might have had, and then I think we added one this size. We were actually still based up in New Hampshire until the space in Westford until we found the space.
Yeah.
And had our franchise agreements in order, and it all takes time. So
Wow. We love doing this podcast from Westford. It is so much fun. I mean, we keep it, sometimes we're global, sometimes we move out of it, but
But we are a nationally award-winning podcast.
in case
so-
we haven't
This
told you
is
3 times
wonderful.
already.
I love it.
we kind of we were joking about coming in third for our regional wins.
Yes.
But Sarah Fletcher made it very clear that we have won a national award.
Yeah, and it's good for WestfordCAT. It's good for us. It's
Yeah.
good for Nick, our producer.
Yes,
So, yeah, it's good all
everything.
around.
And so we're having
That's
fun.
congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
a great accomplishment.
Yeah, it's exciting.
You should
And-
tell me that when this is over. I'd be less nervous.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell me
Then we
now.
know what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, you would love some of our guests.
No,
they
it's
would
very
love
casual,
you. Oh,
yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It is so fun. We've had bodybuilders. We've had, let's see, we had the head of the Boston Marathon on, Dr. Mamie Parker. We've had so many people. And yet to come. Yet to come.
Yet to come.
Yet to
Yeah.
come. It's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
heard
fun.
you're planning a couple out front. It's a great idea.
Yeah. No, we enjoyed doing it. So tell us, what's a day in the life of Claire Ryan, broker owner?
The phone. I live on my telephone. I really, that's why it's in the other room,
Yep.
so that it doesn't ring. But I answer the phone. I really am in conversation with people a lot. And then I travel. So I'm in and out of Texas somewhat frequently. So between the region, national, and international, they keep us moving.
So are you a certain size? I mean, does headquarters, Keller Williams headquarters, kind of regard your ownership within a certain size or a certain income, or how do they regard you?
Their goal, they always have, we all have goals. You as an agent have a goal. The market,
Market center.
The market center has a goal. They would like to see us around between 250 and 300 is where they'd like to see
Agents.
us. Agent count.
And you're at 190.
We're about 190.
Wow.
Yeah. So I can see 250 easily
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Paige is doing a fantastic job.
Yep.
She really is.
I like
Paige
the new
Farley,
look of the welcome page too, the welcoming the new agents.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. They really are. We are blessed to be extremely well staffed.
Yep.
They are tremendous. Could not do it without them. Absolutely. This is not a one-person deal. Everybody, I handle the legal and the problems and the troubleshooting, and that's really what I do all day. And of course, Philo is my right hand and most of my left, and Paige is right there too. And then we have Deb Hayes, who's our productivity coach.
Yeah.
Right.
And Alyssa's on our front desk, and she's now teaming up, and she's really fallen in well. And Mark does compliance.
Right. Mark Keller, he's the compliance
There's
king.
if I had
Yeah.
a couple more hands, it would be him. So
Yep.
Compliance is so critical.
it's critical. It's critical.
And people don't understand that. Well, as I was saying, we live in a world where people want to sue. They want to get remedy.
Oh, yeah. We had 1 year, we had 8 lawsuits in 1 year. Every time I turned around, Philo was like, we got another one. I'm like, seriously?
Errors and
But we have-
omissions? Errors and omissions?
Well,
typically?
sometimes it's much simpler and doesn't, something came in this week. It's just a forms request. They just want a copy of all the forms. It's like, okay.
Oh, I see.
Right,
We
but
send
we
them
have
all the
forms like
forms.
the lead paint form where every
Yeah.
mischecked box is $11,000
It is.
fine or something.
Yeah,
so
do not
Yes.
call, right, for
Right.
sure. Mhm.
Oh, yeah, the do
Yeah,
not
no
call is a
doubt.
big one.
yeah.
Are people enforcing that? Because
We're pushing that hard.
yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
really are.
Keller Williams really does, and our office does too.
But at your home, we're getting all kinds of calls, right? Unsolicited calls. I haven't been calling
It's the other reason my phone's in the other room.
Yes, good.
I'm on every do not call list. It doesn't matter. They still keep calling.
They still keep calling.
But from a real estate perspective, we have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Very careful of the do not call. That's a biggie.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I hate to tell you guys, but when I was at AARP and head of state legislation, we were responsible for a lot of do not call legislation in the states.
Well, I like it.
We started in
I
the
do,
states,
too. I
don't mind
and then it rolled up. We were instrumental in the states, and then it rolled up to the feds, and then we were instrumental
well,
in
good
the
job,
feds.
Mary, because I don't like getting all those calls, and I don't want to be a bother to someone. That's not what I'm about. I want to build a relationship with
Yeah.
my clients.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be some telemarketer.
That was what was so wonderful at Keller Williams during COVID. Was this? What can we do to help our people? That was such a
That was it.
genius. That was awesome.
Yeah. Those care calls.
Those care
Yep.
calls.
Made a
And
big difference.
I think it kept everybody pretty closer connected. We did lose a couple of people during COVID, new people who joined, because we just couldn't connect with them. It was really hard. So I think it was hard on them. Well, they shut us down for 90 days too,
Yeah.
so
Right.
we were closed.
Yeah, but we were lucky that we were considered essential as early as we were. Because
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
Pennsylvania was the last state, I think, to be.
Poor Pennsylvania.
I know those people, those agents, really had a hard time.
They
They
even
did.
longer than us.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot. We learned really how to do an open house.
Virtually.
Virtually or
one at a time.
safely.
Safely.
Right, yeah.
Standing out on the porch in the snow, but we did a lot of that. But whatever it took to protect people
Yeah.
and still get the real estate sold.
That's true.
And your office was one of the first places I went into, our office, that had started setting up all the plexi screening and stuff. And you were really aggressive, I thought.
Yes.
Just right out there.
Which I appreciated.
Yeah.
I think all of your employees did, or whatever affiliates, whatever we're called, because I don't know if we're employees,
Associates.
Associates.
Yeah. But you had the
Because
whole
it was
place
to protect you.
fumigate, whatever, disinfected
Several
and-
times.
a
We
couple
did.
of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime we heard somebody with COVID, I got managed to get it 4 times, but I stayed home.
Did you really?
My goodness.
Every time we turned around, I got it
Must be
again.
from the phone.
Yeah.
Travel. Every time I was
yes,
travel.
travel. Yes.
Yeah, I had the early one before we knew what it was.
Yes.
Oh.
Because a lot of our agents are from China and came home from Christmas in
course.
China, and
Of course.
Yep,
Brought
and then
it
we
with
had
them.
family reunion
I got it again
right
then.
in February, where 15,000 agents from across the globe
Went home
gather,
sick.
and then a lot of people were sick from that, and they just didn't know what it was yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
And that's what happened in Boston. That was that
That
Yeah, those
company
poor
thing.
people.
yeah, those
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
people at the Wharf Hotel, yeah.
They thought they were the epicenter of it, and they really weren't. They
Weren't.
were
Not
just
even
the
close.
first one to explode.
right, get out there and get
Exactly.
covered by the press, right?
Yeah, that was too bad. It was hard on them, I'm sure.
It was.
But yeah, so we had to fly through the office a few times.
Yeah, but
The last time I had it was Halloween
Oh,
this
wow.
past year.
Wow.
When we had all the kids, and I went, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just a little off. Maybe
Yeah.
I said, that's probably just a cold, but I'll check. I'm like, yeah, I skipped that event.
yes, yeah, good idea. It
Yeah.
was, there were a lot of
Yeah.
kids that were doing it again. So,
Yeah, hopefully I won't have COVID for
right,
that one.
exactly.
Talk to us a little bit about teams versus individuals. I was brought up in the individual kind of time.
I was too.
Yeah.
I was too. The teams are a very different way of doing business. It's very consumer centric. It really is, because you have Mary as your listing agent. Mary.
Mary.
The Marys. The Marys have it.
Yes, the Marys have it,
Mary
yeah.
McCauley as your listing agent, and you as to represent the buyers, which means the seller always gets their own agent. We don't have a problem with dual agency. It really avoids that, which we try to avoid like the plague anyway,
Yep.
Right.
is the dual agency. Because the reality of dual agency is no one has representation.
Right.
That's
Right.
what comes of that.
Exactly.
You can't
their own.
represent your client.
Yeah.
And teams help to avoid that.
There's a lot of learning on teams too.
There is a lot of learning on
Lots of
teams.
teaching.
Because
Yep.
you have to really keep a separation of the listing side and the buyer side, and the two really need to stay separate. So it's why we have it set up really, you need to start with the main agent on the team, the rainmaker on the team, an admin number one, preferably an admin number two, before you start adding buyer agents and building your team, because you have to have your systems in place to make sure that it's done properly and there is a separation. Because if you have one person doing it all, there's no separation.
Right.
Even with Mark doing compliance, it takes me out of it quite a bit. I only step in if you look at the market center as a big team, in reality, that's one of the reasons we have somebody like Mark doing compliance. It takes me out of the everyday handling of everybody's transactions.
Perfect.
So that I can, when you call me with an issue, I haven't listened to Mary's side of the deal at all.
Right.
I've only heard your side.
Right.
So I have no connection.
Yep.
So having somebody taking care of compliance really protects me of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it
My
protects
broker-
the consumer.
My broker used to ask, "Who are you representing, the buyer or the
First
seller?"
word.
It is true.
Yeah.
I think, that is your first question.
Isn't that great? It's a great question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who do you represent?
Who are you representing?
Right.
That's right.
Because it changes the answer.
It does. It really, really does.
You have to know who's representing, and is there anyone in the office? Are we in a dual agency capacity here? Are we in a, what is our situation? We start with that.
Yep.
So I know how to answer the question.
So many eager new agents. Not so many. A few new agents. I said, I'm going to get both sides.
Yeah, and that's not the point.
Oh my
No.
gosh.
The point is to
They have no idea.
represent the consumer.
Well, and
That's
it's
the
that whole
point.
fiduciary responsibility, and if you understand that, then you understand how critical that is when you're representing the seller or the buyer in that capacity. And we all definitely take that seriously, and Keller Williams does, and you hope other agents do as well, but they don't have our training.
The
So-
first question at an open house should always be, who's your agent?
Yeah.
Yep.
And if they say they don't have one, I usually poke around at that a little bit to make sure that they really don't have one, because sometimes they don't understand the complications when you're always the listing agent and they think they're going to get a different price or a different deal if they go directly to the listing agent. And the agent that they've signed a contract with is now out of the picture.
Yeah,
and
right.
that causes procuring cause issues, and we don't want to go there. Plus, they're not going to get the same representation if they have their own agent. I cannot tell you how many times I've poked around at a buyer and said, so you're not working with an agent at all? Sooner or later, they say, well, I did kind of have a conversation. And eventually you get a yes. And I pick up the phone and go, listen, you got a wanderer out here. You may want to reel this one in because they're not telling anybody that they
Right.
have an agent.
Yep.
Exactly.
And because the relationships we have with each other will be around forever. You always have to represent your client. Don't get me wrong here. That has to be first.
Yep.
But treating each other fairly really matters from the perspective of the other agents that you work with, that you have to treat everybody fairly and protect each other to some degree. If we all do it, it's a lot less problems.
We want them to answer the phone call. We want the other agent, the listing agent, or please answer the phone when you see my name on that caller
I
ID.
know.
Yeah.
I was trying to show a home yesterday, and it took me 3 days to get the showing confirmed. It was finally an email that said, I've called showing time, I've booked it as a facilitator, I've done whatever you said, and nothing. Do they not want to sell the house? Why is it listed? And finally, boom, it was, But it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't
It
take 3
shouldn't be.
days to get an
Right.
appointment confirmed. So,
Right.
or get feedback. That's important between agents. If you show a property, give the feedback, to another agent. It's important for, their pricing, their relationship with their seller. It's just good business.
It is. It really is. And we have a couple of agents in the office that I have known since early days. One in particular, I think I did my very first transaction with
Wow.
her. And
You can name her.
Joanne Sullivan, she top agent, top agent at the time. I was clueless. I really was. I was totally clueless how to fill out the form. I've got a cheat sheet in my lap, and I'm filling it out. And I sent it over to her. Every rule that we had in those days was broken. And she called me back and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said,
Oh, no.
"Sure." She said, "Have you ever done this before?" And I'm like, "No, I'm totally clueless." She said, "Let me help you." And she walked me through the entire transaction.
Lovely.
And she was with Carlson at the time, and I worked for Century 21. And she could have been nasty. She is never nasty. She's a wonderful person. She really is. And I could have been a jerk. And neither one of us were. We were just trying to work this out in the best interests of her seller and my buyer. And we closed the transaction. And if I had been a jerk, would she be with us today?
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Probably not.
And what a loss that would have been.
Yeah.
And what a loss. Exactly. And Fawn McDonald is another one. She's just recently joined us.
Yeah.
She was another one early in my career. And it really matters how we treat one another.
It does.
It does. I agree.
Never at the expense of our sellers and buyers and
Right.
but being honest and being open, answering your telephone.
Yep. Right. Confirming a listing appointment or a buyer
A
showing.
showing.
Yes.
It should be easy with showing
It
time
should
anyway.
be. It should be. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know. One of those things.
Yeah, I'm thinking about some of the teams that are in the office, and fantastic team
We
leaders.
have fantastic teams.
Fantastic.
We have
Yeah.
great people overall.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do love our office. It's like family.
With the Rotary, we
It
get a
is.
chance to work with Ricky
Oh, yeah,
and
Bill
Arpino.
Pazuricki, yeah.
Bill
and-
Paz, yeah.
Linda Arpino.
And Francis
they're wonderful.
Markle, and I mean, just
Pad
awesome.
Masanti.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have some fantastic. Robin Flynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, and Michael Blood out in Pepperell.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
God love Mike Blood.
So we have some
Sandy.
fantastic teams. Neil Fredette.
Neil Fredette's awesome.
Yep.
Kara, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got Manny Palucci
Yeah. Building an empire.
building
Going
an
global.
empire. Yep.
I love
He's
it.
working on it.
He is.
What great
he is.
enthusiasm, huh?
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, and like you said in the beginning, you're there to, if that's what you want to do, you're going to help
We'll help.
agents do it. And I love that. So, we want to get to 250 or 300 agents in our market center.
As long as they're the right agent, I don't want just fill
Anybody.
up the doors.
Yeah,
We
there was
don't want that.
Don't you think there was a lot of that happened during COVID? People got laid off from their jobs, or they, because everything was closed. But a lot of people got into real estate. There are statistics with our local board about how many
True.
licenses were given, and we'll see an outflux, I guess, or outflow of that.
Well, we see that it happens pretty much organically.
Okay.
Because let's face it, is this easy?
No.
No. People think it's easy. It's not easy.
Right.
But we don't know who's going to stick and who's going to be really good at this. So from a newer agent or new agent perspective, we'll bring them on board, see what they're made of, and if they're not, they usually go away quickly on their own because it's much more difficult than showing pretty houses.
Right. Yeah. You have to put the work in for sure.
You do. And
do
it's
the activities.
communication.
Yep.
Communication is huge. It may top the list by answering their phones from an agent to agent or
Right.
from an agent to a client and setting the expectations with those clients on your communication and how often you'll reach out to them, maybe every Friday, for an example, for feedback calls, or after every showing, or after every open house. Whatever you just to set the expectations and communicate is massively important.
So if someone out there is thinking about a career in real estate, what would you recommend they do first?
Come into a career night, meet because we have career night the first Wednesday of every month.
Yep, on Zoom.
I think we have it both live and Zoom now.
Yeah.
I think we're doing both.
Great.
And that lets them meet people because we'll bring people into the office and see really what it's all about and get a feel for it. I think I'd start right there. And then we make an appointment and sit down with Deb Hayes and see what the training is all about. Training calendar is really what brought me to Keller Williams.
Wow.
That
It's
was
robust.
we're much more robust than we were then. That was right down to how to use a digital camera. So we had, and I remember being on there going, I have no idea how to use a digital camera. That would be good. But that training calendar, get a hold of the training calendar and let us send it out to you and take a look at it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love
big.
about our philosophy as Keller Williams is that our training is open to anyone. So if you are at
Absolutely.
a different brokerage and there is something on our training calendar that you want to take or you're interested in, or your office isn't or brokerage isn't offering that, you're welcome.
Yeah, and it's not a recruiting event. It's come to the class,
Right.
take what you need from it, and, let us know if we can help.
Right. I love that.
It's fascinating. The focus went from dealing with people to having all the technology to now dealing with people with technology.
Right.
With technology.
With technology.
Yeah, and we're back to the people stuff again, aren't we?
But they still need to see your face and hear your
And
voice.
do.
That's why we'll never be replaced by robots, I feel.
No, I don't think so.
Zillow can't get their estimates right. You need boots on the ground. You need the human touch.
They need to know there's a WL line out there, and and what's next door and around the corner. And Zillow, unfortunately, doesn't, or fortunately, doesn't know.
Yep.
It really doesn't.
No.
They're way off.
They are. They are. I always, include that because that's where our clients, unfortunately, first look.
Yeah.
But, So before we wrap things up, Mary Forrester, do you have any other questions?
Just
for
like to
Claire?
congratulate you on such a successful office.
Thank you. It's been a wild
business
ride.
And market center.
Right. Powerhouse businesswoman. Love that.
Proud
Thank
to
you.
be part of you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
me too.
I'm very lucky to have you both.
Thanks,
Good.
Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
All right.